I would just try a bunch of different lead providers, turn up the ones that worked, turn off the ones that didn't. At the end of 2022, we did probably just over $1 million in revenue. And then in 2024, last year, we did $14 million in revenue.
All right, we are back again, ready to talk shop. Today, we're talking with Mika Kujanpää, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for Brooks Solutions. And Mika, thanks so much for jumping on today. Today, you know, you're in a really neat spot where you sit in the middle of some very important marketing decisions at Brooks. And we really want to dive into what is moving the needle for you and for your company. So, you know, maybe to get started, you could just give us a little introduction about to yourself, to Brooks, and then we'll just dive right in.
I have, 6-7 years of pest experience up to this point. I started on the doors and had a great first summer, but decided it wasn't quite for me. And so worked at Greenix actually in their call center for a little bit. I was a call center manager. I was there for a couple of years. Then here at Brooks, they just needed someone that was going to kind of come in and figure out the whole marketing thing. They had started at the beginning of 2022 with, trying to figure out inside sales. Historically have just been a door-to-door company. And so honestly took a bit of a chance on me. I didn't necessarily have marketing experience, but just hopped right in cold turkey. We've figured out some things up to this point. Hopefully I'll be able to share some valuable insights.
That's pretty sweet, man. That is a what do they call that? A baptism by pesticide then? Is that what they call it in this industry?
Exactly. I was Lambda.
Very cool. I think that's kind of a neat place to start because this is the big question that, pest companies have all the time is, we've got guys knocking doors, but the other side is just as important on the digital side. Maybe we could start, you could talk us through kind of the strategy behind both of those. Like how important is knocking doors? How important is it, on the digital side, what the divide looks like?
For sure. There are pros and cons to both strategies. I think door to door, it's a no-brainer operationally. You get a bunch of customers right there in the same neighborhood. You can have a technician go and not have a bunch of drive time. Don't have to worry about accidents in between trying to make it to your timed appointments. Like there's so much to gain there efficiency wise. Door to door, you do pay super, super high commissions. You're ending up somewhere from the 75 to 90% range of a customer's value. And you pay that all up front, obviously, right?
And that's like the annual value, right?
Yep, yeah. Exactly. So someone signs up for $1,000 contract, 750 to 900 of those dollars is going to the manager, the rep, and anybody else who's got override over that person, right? Inside sales, you have your market where you cover the geographical area, and you can't completely control where you're getting people to sign up. It's not as operationally, efficient, but you can get people for a lot cheaper. Everybody, calculates their cost per acquisition differently. You include marketing cost, SEO cost, website, how much you're paying the rep, all that kind of stuff. We include all of that in our cost per acquisition, calculation. And we're sitting right around, 35, 40% right now. We'll see that get closer to 50, maybe 55 in the winter. But across the board, for the whole year, we're hoping to be below 50%.
There's got to be a ramp up period, right? Coming out of the spring, starting to, get guys geared up to go knocking doors, probably turning up the ad budgets, right? Like, how do you approach that in a strategic way so that it's going to be an efficient season?
And every time I meet with like a new lead provider or a new marketing anything, the first question they ask is like, how much is your budget? And my answer is like, it depends how well you do, So let's say we have 10 different lead providers working for us. On a weekly basis, we're keeping track of how much did we spend, how much did we make, and do we need to make any adjustments? So if I have a lead provider that's consistently performing at 5x ROI, and I have a different one that's consistently performing at 2x ROI, I'm going to take budget away from my 2x ROI, even though for some places that's pretty good. Take it away from there and put it into the place that's giving you the biggest return. that's kind of how we manage things. We obviously have like a monthly budget that we're trying to stick to, but I'm not going to pre-commit 15K of my budget to go to this person for this week. I would say stay away from concrete numbers and big commitments to how much you're going to spend in a certain area. You've got to keep track week by week. Where are my biggest returns? How can I maximize that? Sometimes you do hit a cap, right? There's a finite amount of leads you can get in certain areas. And so if something's maxed out, then you got to, continue to look elsewhere.
So you work with several different lead providers, and what does that look like? What's a good lead provider look like to you? And are they running paid media? Are they running cold outreach? Are they knocking? What do the vendors look like? How do you sort through those? What's been most efficient for you?
Yeah. So I will say, we intend to do well organically. SEO, right? We want the free leads of someone just searching pest control near me. We hope they find Brooks and come to us. So we do some of that. I'm not as much an expert in that sector, and I'm working to educate myself more there. But yeah, for all of the digital marketing things, there are plenty of different lead providing opportunities. There are pay-per-call lead providers, people who are already running non-branded pest control ads in our geography, and they'll sell us phone calls. So you can sign up and say, hey, I want to pay this much per call in these areas, and they'll start sending them to you. We run our own Google ads. So Google search, people trying to bid on keywords and whatnot, all that kind of stuff, capture traffic. The sponsored ads, that's what you're seeing in Google. We have a lot of different methods. Primarily, we want phone calls. We do get a ton of forms as well and handle the traffic as it comes in. But yeah, we have our hands in a lot of different cookie jars for sure.
That's cool. That's
great.
Go ahead.
How do you find lead providers? Are they coming to you, or are you guys searching them out? And how many do you guys have?
Yeah, so right now we have 8. I've done a little bit of both. Most of them I have found. I'll do my own searches. Pest control, lead generation. Anybody in the space, I'm sure, is getting spammed all the time with cold emails, but I have gotten some good lead providers from some of those cold emails. I'll open them all. I don't respond, of course. I'll unsubscribe to quite a few of those bad boys. But yeah, if it seems promising and it's something, I'll try it for sure. And we've tried a lot of other things too. Like we've tried mailers is something that we tried one time a couple years ago, and it just wasn't doing as well as some of our other lead providers. So we decided our budget was better used, elsewhere.
This is kind of a loaded question, Micah, but if you were, let's say a pest control company came to you and they're either heavy door to door or they're just starting out and they're like, hey, we need a strategy to bring in leads to our inside sales team. What would be the playbook? What would you lay out for them based on what you've learned? You've kind of been at the ground zero with Brooks and have learned a ton along the way. Hindsight's 2020. What would be your advice?
First, just start with the basics. Make sure you're showing up in all the possible spaces on Google. You've got your Google business profile set up. You're showing up on maps. And that primarily is for organic stuff. That's where you're going to get a ton of free organic leads that you don't have to pay for. And then, with any new lead provider, you've got to follow the crawl, walk, run methodology. There have been weeks where I've started like 5 lead providers at a time, but I was only spending like $500 a week, right? With $500, you might get 5 to 10 leads, handle those leads and see how it goes. And from the very first week, you're going to be able to pick out who was the winner and why. And then at that point, you turn it up a little bit for the winners and see if it's sustainable and see if it can continue to grow. And then, sometimes it was a fluke week and you try one week, it was great. And then it sucks after that. And, but yeah, that's my recommendation. I guess my second recommendation is start really small, make sure you have all the tracking in place, and then make decisions based off of that data.
Have you guys found one channel is outperforming the others significantly, or does it seem most of the avenues you guys are going down are pretty equal.
We don't have one channel that significantly outperforms the others, but within each channel, we have found winners. And it's taken a lot of, testing and trying different people. But yeah, so like we've had probably 4 or 5 different agencies do Google ads for us. And it didn't go very well. And then finally we found one that works, and we're sticking with them till I die.
If you had to cut your marketing budget in half tomorrow, what would you absolutely keep?
There's an aspect of scalability. For example, right now in a month, some of my pest control, some of my lead providers are providing 4x ROI, but it's a finite amount of volume. And some of, once you scale, sometimes things get a little bit more expensive and you're just collecting a lot more traffic and it might be a little too aggressive. And you can lose some ROI sometimes. You kind of have to find that sweet spot where if you continue to drive it and force it up, you might lose some efficiencies and, some margins. So yeah, if I had to cut it in half, I would just look at my lead providers and look at, in the last 4 weeks, who has given me the best ROI. I have that, data readily available, super easy for me to pull. If I spent a fifth of my budget with one of those lead providers that was a 5x ROI, for sure keeping that one. And then I would look at my next one. What's my next best lead provider? Keeping that one. What was my worst? Get rid of that.
You've been with Brooks for a while, Micah, right? Pretty early on, right? Give us a vision of where it was when you were there and where it is today, because I know you guys have grown quite rapidly.
And they had one person doing inside sales for them. They didn't have a lot of sales experience, but they were a freaking hard worker. So it was someone I could work with. She's actually a manager today, which is awesome. She's
cool,
completely grown and killed it. But yeah, so early on, that was more of the just throw a bunch of crap at the wall and see what sticks. So I was trying multiple new lead providers each month. So at that time when I started, we had started door to door. And so, April of that year, they probably had, 50 customers because it was only inside sales from like February to April. Door to door had already been knocking for a couple months. So they probably had like 8,000 customers when I started. And inside sales, you can't ramp it like that. So by the end of that year, we probably had about 4 agents. But yeah, I would just try a bunch of different lead providers, keep track of them consistently for a couple weeks, turn up the ones that worked, turn off the ones that didn't. And that's, a continuous process. I tried to dedicate like half of my time to investigating new lead providers. Like 5 hours of my 40 hours during the week was, meeting with the ones that were working. And then the rest of my time was like sales trainings and getting my team to be locked in sales wise. We were able to pick out a couple small winners. Obviously, we kept budgets low because everything was super new. But as we found more lead providers that were providing good, healthy ROI for us, it made more sense to continue to invest in those. At the end of 2022, we did probably 1,800 accounts, and I think that was just over $1 million in revenue. In 2023, we did 9,000 accounts, and that was about $6.5 million in revenue. And then in 2024, last year, we did 22,000 accounts and $14 million in revenue.
Wow. So this is just inside sales.
Just inside sales.
How does that shape up with your door-to-door? I imagine door-to-door is still the largest customer driver, but like what is it percentage-wise? Do you know?
Probably a little less than 30% of all of our customer growth. Door-to-door, Brooks is really well known for their door-to-door reps. We have an absolute killer door-to-door team and several hundred reps. So yeah, they did, I think, about 50,000. Maybe 40,000. It's cool because with inside sales, once you have a digital presence, time on Google is like time for a baby in the womb. Like the more they're in there, the better and healthier they're going to grow. The longer you've been on Google, the healthier, the more Google's going to promote your business because it sees more people interacting in in a positive way with everything you have, your website, your listings, your reviews. The toughest competitors to overcome are the ones who have been in the area for 27 years already, and they've got 4,000 5-star reviews.
Now, are the marketing agencies that you're working with, are they also putting together your creatives that you're running for your meta ads?
We have like a specific, Facebook ads person that we work with, and she's really good with, the creatives that we use. We've done some photo shoots and some video shoots, and I'm not an incredibly creative person, and so it's nice to have her.
That is nice, because that's something that I would love to touch on as well too, because like we were talking about earlier, you scroll your phone, you're seeing all the different advertisements, especially in the pest space. It's very defined. Is there anything that your social media creator is doing that is like, yes, this is the content that we want to promote and advertise? Is it single images? Are you doing video, carousels? Like, what does the creative landscape look like?
So right now we're primarily doing like static images. We don't right now have a ton of video assets that we can use in marketing, but based on what I've heard from some of my colleagues in marketing, like that is Meta's language, is Reels. And I 100% intend to take advantage of that here in the next couple months.
Yeah, that's kind of the fun part of it too. I don't feel like I'm a very creative person myself, but the ads are getting more and more creative, with it. And pest is kind of a fun space to be in, because, you can get a guy to put on a spider suit and just go beat him up and record it as an ad. And that's going to get a lot of good attention and good visibility.
People have access to the data of like, this is the best hook you can use. So if you just put that in front of your video, your views are going to skyrocket. It's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. And people are getting more, it's fun to kind of see that unravel, and you're in a cool spot too, as the CMO, to be able to kind of identify those and test those different things and give that creative direction. So, it's fun to kind of explore that and think about that. But I think another important piece in your role is, maintaining kind of the language of the brand, staying on brand for Brooks, got a beautiful website. Is there much discussion and talk about like, how do you guys set yourself up as like a very, you touched on earlier, like everybody knows Brooks, we've got good door knockers. How do you kind of continue to maintain that brand and push that forward? Yeah.
So I think, we're actually in the process of kind of redefining our brand,
for
Brooks Pest Solutions. And so trying to get to the essence of like, why do we exist? What do we want customers to think, feel, hear, experience when they see our logo and when they have a technician at their home and when they talk to somebody over the phone? Brand is incredibly powerful, and you have a brand no matter what it is, no matter if you're intentional about it or not, you have a brand currently. And so, yeah, summer happens, things get crazy. And so as things are slowing down a little bit in the off season, we're trying to reset and get everybody rebought in on, our brand and our mission statement. And that's what we're like literally rewriting right now. I wish I had something I could tell you. My wife actually works at Crumble, and they are incredible at branding. Absolutely amazing. They've got some geniuses over there. But it was funny because as we were talking about what we wanted our brand to be, I gave an example. Like I was trying to, get other people to buy into this whole idea. And I was like, I literally know what Crumble's brand mission statement is. It's kind of funny that I know what it is because she talks about it all the time. She can't talk about her work at Crumble without remembering like what the mission statement is.
That's cool.
So yeah, we're trying to be super intentional about that. And we want our technicians and our agents to think about it and exemplify whatever we decide our mission statement to be, in every interaction. It'll be powerful.
But before we wrap up, we wanted to chat just a little bit about Apruv. And Brooks has been one of the OGs with Apruv from the beginning. So wanted to get, and I know you're more focused on the pre-customer phase, right? Getting sales and getting customers. But once you get to the operational side, I think that's where Apruv focuses a lot. Let's talk about Apruv Verify, which is what the door-to-door teams use.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about why you guys use that? And then I can share some stats with you guys based on your data.
Retention, people calling in to cancel. There's so much he said, she said, literally all the time. And there are so many times I've been the rep at the door and I know exactly what I told the customer, but they're calling in to cancel saying I said the exact opposite, right? Happens all the time, especially in pest control. Customer hears what they want to hear sometimes. And so, yeah, Apruv Verify has been an amazing product to use. Door-to-door rep sign somebody up, they put in all the details, and then before they leave the customer, they, hand the phone to the customer, and Apruv goes through the whole contract very, very briefly. And, it's brief, but it's accurate, and it just covers all the points and has the customer, they're videoed. They click yes, they say yes. So yeah, it's been a huge retention tool for us. I think it does a lot of things. When you're dealing with, competitive sales reps, obviously you have competitions and, I love our sales reps, but every company has situations where things may have gotten a little dicey.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a rep selling a deal, knowing that all the details are going to come out and the customer is going to know exactly what they're signing up for, I think it motivates the reps to just sell higher quality accounts because they know, if I don't tell them about the contract and then this thing tells them about the contract, they're going to be unhappy. So I better explain everything right the first time, right? So I think it causes the reps to sell higher quality accounts, but of course it just makes it so that there's way less miscommunication with the customer. They know exactly what they're signing up for. It's just done it in a very efficient way, and it's been a huge tool for us retention wise, communication.
Very cool. Yeah. So before our call, I had our back end team pull your data from field routes.
Great.
And you guys have shown a 46% reduction in your churn rate with those that had an AI welcome call from Apruv and those that didn't. So it's definitely impacting your
That
numbers.
is
pretty cool.
Sexy.
Let's chat a little bit about the other part of Apruv, which is on the technician side. And I don't know how much you interface with that, but do you have any thoughts on that? I have some results I can share with you on that too, but wanted to see if you had any feedback there.
I know that it's been used as a recruiting tool, actually. A lot of technicians, obviously you make a X amount per hour, and a lot of times companies don't have opportunities for technicians to make more than that. So having Apruv and the ability for customers to tip technicians has been huge. I know and hear pretty often, someone tipped a technician $30 the other day, which is just like so amazing. I've never heard of that before until having Apruv come into the picture. So those kinds of things, it's awesome.
Yeah, I was just looking at your data. It's pretty awesome. You guys have had just under 60,000 in tips for your technician.
That's amazing.
Cool. Yeah. Pretty cool. And then your Google reviews, you've had over 17,000 come through, which is awesome as well.
So, the reviews piece. I was going to mention that if you didn't, because reviews have been amazing. It's crazy that in some of our areas we have over 500 reviews right now, and it's crazy that we have that many reviews for a location that just started in like March or April.
Yeah,
That's absolutely amazing.